Welcome into another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods. I am Liv Moods, and as always, this is presented by Landmark Lincoln. Shout out to our friends over at Landmark Lincoln. Make sure you head to their location off of Bellevue and Broadway to figure out why they have been the #1 Lincoln dealer in Colorado for as long as they have. I say it every show. I'm going to say it again. I am the proud new owner of a 2025 Lincoln Nautilus and could not love my car more. So make sure you head to their location. Like I said, check them out, see all that they have to offer, and maybe join me in joining the Landmark Lincoln family. Okay, enough about vehicles. Let's get into the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods. I am Liv Moods, and here to debrief, break down the NFL season. The NFL season is officially over. Yes, the Seattle Seahawks are your Super Bowl champions. They took on the New England Patriots in what could be considered the most boring Super Bowl of all time. I'm serious, guys. And maybe a little bit of saltiness here from Liv Moods. I got to be honest, I've got no rundown for today. This is simply just a reaction show to the Super Bowl, to the NFL season. We'll talk about a couple of other things that are going on in the world of sports, but for the most part, we're just reacting to, like I said, one of the most boring Super Bowls of all time. And now I said last show, you don't have to watch it, right? I kind of knew going into this, it wasn't maybe going to be the most exciting, but I still love the game of football. So yes, I did still sit through it. That was my own choice. But now on the other side of it, I'm just going to tell you, it was not the best. It was not the best. I would give the Super Bowl outside of the halftime. We'll get into that in a second. Outside of the halftime performance, I would give the Super Bowl as a whole probably like a 4 out of 10. And listen, you're going to sit there and say, it wasn't that bad. If your team were any better, they would be there. I get it. I know. I'm gonna just take my own advice on this one because I've said it all season. But I'm gonna tell you, even the commercials, like below average. Normally with the Super Bowl, it's a whole experience, right? You get the good, funny commercials that you'll remember forever. You get the good game, and it just didn't hit this year. It just didn't hit. Now, that being said, I want to give my congratulations first and be positive first in terms of the Seattle Seahawks winning a Super Bowl, Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl ahead of a Joe Burrow, a Lamar Jackson, a Josh Allen, and a Sam Darnold that I think was constantly, despite showing up over the last 2 seasons, I'm going to say 2 seasons because it wasn't even just this season. It was both this season and last that Sam Darnold was showing up, doing exactly what we needed him to do. And there was still a large group of people that felt like, when it matters most, he's not going to do what he needs to do. And yes, the game was slow. We didn't get a touchdown until the third quarter, I believe, maybe even the fourth. It was late in the third or early in the fourth that we had to wait until we got any type of touchdown scored. It was a very dry, very slow, very boring football game all around. But we also know that does typically happen in a defensive battle. The Seahawks have had one of the most stout defenses in the postseason, and also, one that was kind of catching people's attention throughout the regular season as well. So when you've got such a high level defense, and we do know that defense wins championships, you are going to get a little bit more of a boring game, right? I know that. I know that that's part of it. That being said, it was dry, exceptionally dry. It was boring. It was just everything you don't want to see in a Super Bowl is what we saw in this Super Bowl between these two teams. Now, these two teams rightfully deserve to be there. I'm not going to take that away from them. They earned their spot, but it was definitely one of the more dry Super Bowls. Now, sometimes that happens, right? You get a defensive battle, the game is a little slower and a little bit more dry, but then you get to at least have it be made up in commercials, right? When you take a break from the game, at least you're laughing, at least you're entertained. Not so much. Not so much. Really, I was pretty disappointed all around in this Super Bowl. I really was. They gave away the Gatorade color before they even dumped it on somebody's head. I mean, good thing there weren't live lines. They showed us the guy stirring it up. Like, nothing was left for the imagination. Nothing was keeping us on the edge of our seat outside of the Super Bowl MVP. Bad Bunny. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Kenneth Walker III, although I did predict he would be the MVP of this Super Bowl. I took the over on his receiving yards as well as a little prediction that he would be the Super Bowl MVP and was. But no, the true MVP was Bad Bunny. There wasn't much to discuss as it pertained to the football game. I like to have dialogue. I like to open up conversations. What my timeline was really popping with in terms of conversation was Bad Bunny. and the halftime performance that you either loved or you hated. And we kind of knew that was going to happen. And I went ahead and told people in advance, if you know you're not going to like it, don't watch. Matter of fact, there's another halftime performance you can watch. So you don't even have to tune into something you hate. They've created one so that you can watch something while you're not watching the one that you can't stand. But of course, to no surprise, the haters were still tuning in. You know, that's how you're doing something right. I get told that a lot in this work field and just in life in general. If you don't have haters, you're not doing enough. You should be hated by people. That means you have something that they don't. And you know what? As I kept reflecting on the Bad Bunny halftime performance, there's so many angles you can look at this performance and kind of figure out, like, what is the discourse here? One, I think authenticity terrifies people. I think it is easier for people to be bland, vanilla, plain, boring, dull. It's easier to do that because that's comfortable, right? But to wake up and to be authentic and to step outside of your comfort zone and to make other people uncomfortable because you're so unique and you're so authentic and you're so raw and you're so real, that's the hard part. So for those people that are too scared to step out of their comfort zone and they enjoy being boring and bland, a guy like Bad Bunny is your worst nightmare. Because yeah, he might just get up on the stage and wear a dress. What's it to you? Also, by the way, hate to be the bearer of bad news yet again. For those of you that didn't tune into the halftime performance because you were so worried he was going to be wearing a dress, you fell for the thing you hate the most. Fake news. Imagine that. Imagine you falling for the thing you hate the most, which is fake news. Did we ever hear out of Bad Bunny's mouth himself? Was this confirmed? Was this a 100% yes, this is happening thing? Or did you just let the hate sitting inside of you fester so hard that you started making things up? You started making things up so that your distaste for this performance, your distaste for this artist made more sense to you. I don't like Bad Bunny because he is going to wear a dress. Newsflash, he didn't. He was actually G'd up from the feet up. He really was. He looked so suave and swaggy. I mean, to a bland and boring individual, yeah, I'd be sick. Not only did he look G'd up from the feet up, he was surrounded by some of the baddest women on the planet. Just throwing it in a circle, living their best life. By the way, if LeBron James hasn't taught me one thing, the most important thing that could have been used yesterday, for example, you don't have to know lyrics to be vibing out. Have you seen the videos of LeBron James singing his favorite song by his favorite artist? He doesn't know a damn word, and he's still vibing out. You can't stop that man's vibe out. You really can't. So when have we ever needed to know the lyrics to vibe out and have a good time? I didn't know a single word to that halftime, and I was still up. In the living room like this in front of G-Pa and G-Ma. What? I didn't know a single word. Not one. I didn't understand a thing he was saying, but I was vibing out. The production quality of this halftime performance was the best we've seen. Honestly, I'm a performer. I'm in this industry. I've been in front of the camera. I've been behind the camera. That was some of the best production quality we've ever seen out of a halftime before. But some of you hate-filled individuals were so worried about fake news. Is he going to wear a dress? Is he going to be all anti-ICE the whole time? No, he was just vibing. Matter of fact, he was actually trying to unite America. And those of you that didn't watch were the ones that needed to watch it the most. The only thing more powerful than hate is love, is what he said. If you're a parent, you should love that message, right? He wore what you would consider normal clothes. He didn't wear a dress. Nothing overly political about the performance at all. He just simply stated what the man Jesus himself states. Nothing more powerful. The only thing more powerful than hate is love. And those of you that didn't tune in needed to hear that the very most. I actually took to my Twitter, and it was a pretty viral tweet, actually. Somebody saying, or I said, it's crazy. If you can't unite America with a bunch of baddies throwing a money sign around, then we're doomed, folks. Nothing will unite America then. My God. It's nothing but a sea of beautiful women just vibing out. If that doesn't work, I'm afraid nothing will. And you know what? Some of those comments in there, I didn't see the beautiful women. I only saw the intimate moment between two men. Oh my God, we need to have a tough conversation with you then, sir. Why is that the only thing you saw? What? You're looking for it, I'm afraid, because I was locked in. I was watching every square inch of that television screen, and I did not see what they were seeing. No, I was too distracted by a sea of baddies. Yeah. Nothing about that performance felt disrespectful. In fact, he said, "God bless America." He said, "Together we are America." Despite what you want to believe, Puerto Rico is a part of America. Do your research. So yeah, it's so funny to see the discourse and to see such negativity and hate and divisiveness. And I can't say I'm shocked. That's everything that our leadership stands for, is being divided. It is. Because there's a lot of time spent talking about the ops that are no longer in the equation. You know, you won the election. You are the president. And you spent a lot of time talking about your ops who are no longer a concern of yours. So divisiveness is the nature of the leadership. So I'm not shocked by the response here. I'm really not. You were given a whole nother option of another Super Bowl halftime to watch. It wasn't even the Super Bowl. Let me not give them that much credit. It was not a Super Bowl halftime. It was another halftime show. You were given the option to go watch, and instead, being hate-filled and loving to be miserable, you chose to watch the one you didn't want to watch. That's on you. And those of you that just chose not to watch it because you believed fake news and you thought he was going to wear a dress and you just didn't, oh, I can't stand it. I don't want to hear a Spanish halftime. I have so many thoughts. I have so many things I could say. It just, to me, half the time it doesn't feel worth it. And I'm not going to engage in hate. I'm just not that type of person. You can disagree with how I see life and the things that I choose to believe and whatever. I don't expect you to believe what I believe. But I was absolutely raised to be an individual that leads with empathy, kindness, compassion. Those are the things that I pride myself on. Yes. So engaging in hate speech over a halftime show will never be my cup of tea. It won't ever be. I have a lot of opinions on the other halftime show that was created. I'm not sharing them because why? I've only seen clips on my social media, not by my choice. I chose not to watch something I knew I wouldn't like. It's such a peaceful life I live to avoid putting myself in positions that I know will make me miserable. Some of you, I truly believe, enjoy being miserable people. That goes far beyond any sports conversation we could have. You know, that's a you thing. That's between you, the man upstairs, if that's what you believe in, and a bunch of other stuff. But that has nothing to do with me. There are some of you that I truly believe enjoy being miserable. So I'm going to let you be it. I am. If you got so worked up over a halftime performance, you just enjoy feeling this way. You do. You lead your life with a negative mindset, and I am praying for you. Honest to goodness, I am. I really want nothing but the best for you and for you to come out on the other side of this. You know, we've seen so many halftime performances. Rihanna, one to name, Shakira, one to name, that were actually not American citizens by birth. And you never said anything about it. So what you're doing right now to me feels very performative. And I'm quick to mute people. I'm quick to mute people on social media these days because I just don't consume the hatred nature of some of the reactions by this halftime show. It blows my mind. It really, really does. Because all I heard was a good beat, lots of vibes, high quality production, and a very powerful message, which is the only thing more powerful than hate is love. Forget what you think politically. Can't we all agree on that? I would hope so. If not, we've got a bigger issue at hand. So yeah, I'm not even going to get into it. I'm sure people expected me to sit in this chair and just absolutely rage over the reaction to that halftime. I'm not going to, because I have truly learned and come to understand there are some people that have so much darkness inside of them. They're so insecure to their core that they actually enjoy being miserable. They do. They love it. You will never get those people to not feel that way. That is an interpersonal issue that they have to work out themselves. Because when I don't like something, I typically avoid it and I don't spend much time thinking about it. The people that hate something, claim to hate something, but spend a lot of time talking about it, enjoy being miserable because they are intentionally putting themselves in miserable situations and they enjoy it. You know, there was a point in time where I thought about turning that damn game off because I started to feel a little miserable. I said, should I even be succumbing myself to this nonsense? This is crazy. That should be the Denver Broncos up there. Oh, yes. Let's get into that. Enough of the halftime. Bad Bunny, it was exceptional. I loved your message. The production was insane. The beautiful women, oh my gosh, 10 out of 10, maybe even 20 out of 10. It was fantastic. And Bad Bunny, at the end of the day, you got to do something that half of your haters, more than half, 95% of your haters will never get to do, and that's perform at a halftime of a Super Bowl. Arguably one of the biggest sporting events in history. And you got to do it, and they didn't. And you also just won a Grammy, and they didn't. So live your life, King. You've got my support. I can tell you that right now. Anyway, let's get into what coulda, shoulda, woulda been. I know. Liv, you're always saying the shoulda, coulda, wouldas don't matter. You're right, they don't. They don't matter until they matter to me. Oh, at least she's self-aware. At least she's an honest queen. Yeah, let me be a little bit of a hypocrite for 1 second. Gosh, can I have a moment? I usually urge people to stay away from all the shouldas and the couldas and the wouldas of life. But shoulda, coulda, woulda, the Denver Broncos had a healthy Bo Nix ankle. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, we would have won a Super Bowl. That's the truth. I'm being so serious. You know, it's so funny because I was sitting next to my mom, and I love my mother. She's just such a ride or die Denver sports fan. And she's sitting there next to me. She's like, if only the Patriots could have played this bad in the AFC championship game. And I said, they did. We just played a little bit more bad, Mom. Unfortunate, but true. The Patriots only scored 10 points. They did not play any better in the AFC championship game than they did in the Super Bowl. Pretty evenly matched here. They may have actually played worse. But the reality is we couldn't play any better than their worst. That's the truth. So I'm not naive about my Denver Broncos. Let's make it very clear. And for those of you that are Broncos fans, I also am the largest Broncos believer out there. And I don't blame Jarrett Stidham for how that game ended at all. It was just a very circumstantial. There were lots of missed opportunities. You could say the weather sucked. The backup quarterback playing for the first time in one of the largest games of the season or maybe ever of his career. It's just a tough spot to be in. But at the end of the day, I'm also not going to sugarcoat the fact that we didn't play good. The Patriots didn't play good and we played worse. That's why we lost. That is the truth. So the shoulda, coulda, wouldas don't help or benefit anyone except for me in this moment because it does kind of give me a little bit of peace of mind knowing the Broncos really, I do think, I got texts from people that aren't Broncos fans, you guys, during the game that said, this should have been Denver. This game is rough. This should have been Denver. And it should have been. A healthy Bo Nix ankle would have at least given you a better game. That is a fact. That is the fact. Would they have won? I don't know. The Seattle Seahawks defense is really great. But so is the Denver defense. So it would have been a defensive battle. And it's funny because all season long, the concern with Denver was their offense is average. From what it appeared yesterday in that Super Bowl, an average offense was enough. Yep. And I already know. The easy schedule. The Drake Maye had an easy schedule crowd is having a field day today because it absolutely looked like he was not prepared to play in a Super Bowl. And you look at his year, you look at his record, it would tell you the opposite. But he gets to the biggest stage, and it truly was an embarrassing showing by the Patriots. It was. They looked ill-prepared. It looked like amateur hour. And they're not that type of team based on their season. But in the biggest moment, on the biggest stage, they crapped their pants. They did. I'm not saying the Denver Broncos wouldn't have. Again, that's the part of the shoulda, coulda, woulda. I can't say that for certain because we're not there. What I can say, though, with a bit of confidence is that we would have at least gotten a better game. This Denver Broncos team, you can say that all season long they were just getting by and these ugly wins were exposing them and this and that and whatever. What I would say is the Denver Broncos gave us one of the most entertaining seasons of all time. Was it heart attack inducing? Of course. As a fan, did I love it? No. If I had it my way, we wouldn't have won in half of the ways that we did. That's neither here nor there. It was an entertaining season nonetheless. It was. So do I think the Denver Broncos would have given us a more entertaining Super Bowl? Of course. That was literally their MO all season. How do we shake it up? How do we ruffle feathers? How do we get people's blood pressure up? They were really good at that all year. So can I say with confidence the Broncos would have given us a better Super Bowl? Yes. Can I say with confidence the Broncos would have won? Well, I'm going to say it because I'm a Broncos fan. But I don't think you can ever make that determination off of a shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? That's why I say avoid them. But I get to not avoid them today because it's my show and I get to be a hypocrite. And at least I'm honest about it. Yep. Honest queen. I am totally being a hypocrite. Now, here's where I will say, you have the conversations about Drake Maye. I don't think what we saw in the Super Bowl completely erases the season that Drake Maye had. This Patriots team, there's no denying, it's undeniable, this statement I'm about to make. They overachieved in almost every single way this season. Drake Maye did. Both the assistant and the head coach that won at the NFL honors this season. The team as a whole, I think, shocked a lot of people. They overachieved in many ways. So none of that disappears because of the Super Bowl performance. Even if you want it to, it doesn't. It doesn't disappear just because of a rough Super Bowl performance. This is a Drake Maye that has never made it to this stage, ever. And it's the biggest stage in any NFL player's career. So a little slack, I think, deserves to be cut. But what I can also say is to the crowd that said the schedule is really easy, we're really overhyping Drake Maye, I hear you. Do I necessarily agree with you? No, because I still think Drake Maye showed up, did his job, delivered, helped them win games, and got them to the Super Bowl. Those are all still true, despite how the Super Bowl looked. But I can also say you look at what this offense, this Patriots offense led by Drake Maye, was able to do versus this very stout Seattle Seahawks defense, and it was less than impressive. It was less than impressive. And you flash yourself back just a couple of weeks ago, and you see what a guy like Matthew Stafford, who won MVP over Drake Maye, and I understand it's a regular season award, but you saw what a guy like Matthew Stafford, who won MVP over Drake Maye, was able to do versus this very same Seattle Seahawks defense. Matthew Stafford in the NFC Championship game just a couple of weeks ago completed 22 of 35 passes for 374 yards. 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, only losing by 4 points to the now Super Bowl champion. So I'm not going to say that what we saw in the Super Bowl by Drake Maye and company erases everything that Drake Maye and company were able to accomplish this season, because that would be foolish and unfair. What I can say is, did we maybe get to see some of the overhype exposed a little bit? Of course. Because we saw what, again, despite this Seahawks defense, you can say, oh, well, it was a really good defense in the Seahawks. But then you can also say, yeah, but look at what Matthew Stafford did versus them just 2 weeks ago. Very different situation. Matthew Stafford in that game versus the now Super Bowl champions became the first quarterback in NFL history to lose a playoff game with at least 350 passing yards. And 3 touchdowns and 0 turnovers. I mean, Matthew Stafford played what could be considered a damn near perfect football game versus a defense that made Drake Maye look like an amateur. That's the truth. Drake Maye is not an amateur, but this Seahawks defense in the Super Bowl made him look that way. So, 2 things can be true, right? 2 things can be true, that Drake Maye got exposed, but also Drake Maye deserved the hype he got this season. I believe 2 things can be true, and I believe those 2 things are true. So I think Drake Maye, what he really did is he set a really high bar and a really high standard for himself. And so the difficulty now moving forward is, can he match that every season? Because he had a great season. And let's say that those easy schedule people are correct. If the schedule gets any tougher, do we get out of Drake Maye next season what we saw this season? Only time will tell. But I don't think it's fair to not give Drake Maye the proper credit for what he was able to do this year, because he overachieved in just about every single way. Based on the preseason standards that were set and the assumptions by people and the predictions by many, Drake Maye overachieved. He absolutely did. But there's also some truth to the fact that he got a little exposed by a Seahawks defense that the MVP and Matthew Stafford was able to play just fine against. So, all that to say, the Seattle Seahawks are your Super Bowl champions, and I really just think this is a great opportunity for all of us to maybe get back on good terms, in good graces at this point in time. It wasn't a stellar performance in any means by the offense of the Seattle Seahawks, right? But Sam Darnold completed 19 of 38 passes for 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 turnovers. He did his job, is what he did. He won the Super Bowl 29-13 over the New England Patriots, who had an almost MVP and 2 coaches of the year. Sam Darnold did his job. So I think it's fair to at least say now in this moment that Sam Darnold has gained the trust of American football watchers again. Maybe, just maybe, right? Because he even had a good season last year with the Vikings before the Vikings made arguably the worst decision of their entire lives. Not sure what they were thinking. And then Sam Darnold comes on over to the Seattle Seahawks, and he's playing a really great season as the quarterback leading this team. And I think there were still a large group of people that felt like, when's the other shoe going to drop? When's the other shoe? Is Sam Darnold. It's still Sam Darnold, right? Like, I'm not all the way there yet. I'm not fully convinced. And maybe you're still not, but I think you can at least now acknowledge that on the biggest stage, in the most pressured game, despite what the opponent looked like when they showed up, it was still the Super Bowl. He did his job. 50% completion percentage, over 200 passing yards, a touchdown pass, 0 interceptions. He protected the football. He did his job. He helped them win. He was a part of the solution, not the problem. He wasn't the hero. He wasn't the best guy on the field, but he wasn't a part of the problem. And sometimes the quarterbacks are. Let's also give a little credit to Darnold. Darnold did not commit a single turnover throughout the entire 2025-2026 postseason. That's enough to gain some trust back, guys. I know we watched Sam Darnold over the last 2 seasons, and there was a group of people, and maybe a little bit of myself as well, that said, I'm just not there. I'm not convinced. Something about him makes me nervous. Fair, right? You've watched him how many different times and maybe put your money on him or put your faith into him, and he's let you down. It happens. It's the nature of being a quarterback, unfortunately. But he did not commit a single turnover throughout the entire postseason. He had back-to-back really great regular seasons with 2 different teams. You plug him into the Seattle Seahawks in his first season, and he takes them all the way to a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold deserves a lot of credit, a lot of praise, despite the Super Bowl not being this high-scoring affair where the quarterbacks were just battling it out. It was very, very boring, but Sam Darnold did his job, and he did it all season long. Okay? He became the first quarterback to win a Super Bowl as a starter after playing for at least 5 different teams. You know how much you probably learn when you play for 5 different teams? A lot. He didn't have elite stats in the Super Bowl. Neither did Drake Maye. I mean, neither of them really, neither offense looked all that elite, but he did what he needed to do. He protected the football, and he got them this far, protecting the football in the postseason. You know, that makes a huge difference. We've seen many games where if you lose the turnover battle, you lose the game. Sam Darnold protected the football in the postseason. He's now had back-to-back great regular season performances and consistency. I think it's time for us to start trusting Sam Darnold a little bit more. Because even when he was performing well, we were like, I don't know, it's Sam Darnold. I think that name now holds a little bit more weight and should make people feel a little bit more settled. He has done what he's needed to do. And I really think he deserves some credit, right? And Sam Darnold, listen, he hasn't been perfect, right? In the 2025 season, he led the league in turnovers. He was still performing well, statistically in other ways, he was still performing well. There was at one point early in the season with the Vikings, his last final season with the Vikings, we were talking about Sam Darnold as an MVP, guys. We were. And then you get Sam Darnold in the 2025 regular season, leading the league in turnovers. Then you get Sam Darnold in the 2025-2026 postseason, where he is protecting the football historically well. Didn't commit a single turnover. So you've got to admire and acknowledge and respect Sam Darnold, not just for being the guy that's been passed around like a hot potato, but the guy that came to Seattle, didn't have a perfect regular season, but they were still getting by. They still won their division. He still had some pretty great games in there. And then gets to the postseason, takes them all the way to the Super Bowl, and does a perfect job at protecting the football. However you feel about Sam Darnold, at least pay this man his respects, at least. Okay? I mean, shout out Sam Darnold. The guy who if you would have asked me any other season, even maybe this current regular season, this regular season, this year, if I thought he would win a Super Bowl ever, I'd probably say no. But then you ask me, will he win it before Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen? I'd say hell no. And here we are. So you gotta put some respect on this man's name. You know what I mean? You really do, because what he was able to do was exceptional, historic, amazing. So I'm very happy for Sam Darnold. I really am. It's like he has his own comeback story in this season alone. And then he's also got the comeback story of he's the hot potato of the NFL and landed on a team, and the first year with that team, he took him to the Super Bowl. It's a pretty cool stinging story. So congratulations to Sam Darnold. I'm very excited for him. All things considered, guys, all things considered, it was overall, like I said, boring Super Bowl, not just because of the football game, but also the commercials to me were below average at best, really, really bad. So a little disappointed there. Not the biggest fan of the Super Bowl as a whole, but you know what? We've got next season, and I'm kind of already on to next season. Here are a few teams that I'm looking at to be teams that you should probably keep your eyes out on. The Denver Broncos being one, of course. You're bringing back Vance Joseph as the defensive coordinator. That's huge. You saw what this defense did this season. Now you've got Davis Webb as the offensive coordinator. Do I hope? Do I pray? Is there a chance that he is now the play caller? I hope so. I think that would be very beneficial to the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton and Bo Nix continuing to work things out amongst themselves, build up that chemistry, if you will. I'm not saying they don't have it. I'm saying build it up, make it better. Hopefully they're aggressive in the offseason. They get a true superstar wide receiver one. I think we deserve that. I think we need that. What does the future with J.K. Dobbins look like? I'm not sure, but there's some running backs that are free agents that you can maybe look at. I mean, there is a really great chance this Denver Broncos team sat and watched that Super Bowl last night and said, damn it. Woo! I'm hungrier than I've ever been before, because that should be us. That should be us out there. I think you can keep your eyes on a healthy Giants team. You know, the sky is the limit when you've got Jackson Dart, you've got Malik Neighbors, you've got Cam Scatterbo. You hope they all stay healthy. Now they've got a new head coach. I think the Giants, if they can stay healthy, are a team to keep your eyes out on. Absolutely. I think the Chargers in the AFC West, who have always had pieces but can't really quite piece it together. You get an offensive coordinator like Mike McDaniel in there. That's a team now that offensively could be a problem for everybody. You keep your eyes on a team like the Chargers. You keep your eyes on the Bears, who in the first season under Ben Johnson looked like a completely different football team. The sky is the limit. I think they tasted some blood in their mouth. I think losing to the Rams the way that they did doesn't sit well. It's only motivating. So excited to see what Ben Johnson does in year 2. I mean, there's a lot of teams, you guys, that I really would be keeping my eyes out on in terms of what they do in the offseason, how healthy they can remain. And I think we're in for another really exciting year next year. And I think what we're going to see moving forward is the playoff landscape looking very different. Very different. It's not going to be the same main characters. It's going to look different. And I like that. I like that we're seeing new faces and you've got coaches joining teams and completely changing them. I mean, Ben Johnson, to me, was a solid candidate for Coach of the Year, just given what he was able to do in one season to one of the most sorry, horrible franchises out there. The Bears have done nothing but break hearts for years and years and years. And then Ben Johnson comes around and here you go. They're in the playoffs. At one point, they had the 1 seed in the NFC. I mean, my gosh. So a lot of teams to keep your eyes out on. Absolutely. The football season is officially over, you guys. Who am I without the football season? Well, I'm a Denver Nuggets fan, and that's a whole nother can of worms and a whole nother amount of stress. We're going to switch gears and get into basketball here for a second. I only have a couple of things. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'm really not. But in this moment, I think it's a good idea for me to talk about the debate I brought up last week. You guys, listen, you guys did take me very seriously. You got online, you casted your votes. You're going to have to do that again, okay? Den Perks presents the great pineapple on pizza debate. This is a debate, you guys, that needs to be discussed. It must. Den Perks features 200 plus restaurants, retailers, and services across every concourse at the Denver International Airport. And Den Perks Rewards members earn rewards every time they shop or dine at the airport. You know how much money you probably spend at the airport? Get rewarded for it. National Pizza Day is today, folks. Happy National Pizza Day. Go ahead and get you a little pizza. I've got one. Yeah, you better believe it. I've got a pizza sitting in front of me. Give me 1 second. Today is National Pizza Day, February 9th, and we are settling one of the biggest debates in food history. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Before you yell your answer, go vote. That's right. Head to pizza.denperks.com to vote yes or no on the large debate. After that, sign up to become a Den Perks Rewards member. Okay? When you sign up, you're automatically entered for a chance to win a $1,000 grand prize or one of several $100 runner-up prizes, okay? It's time to get paid to eat and shop with Den Perks. This is taking place now through February 16th, so you've got some time to head to pizza.denperks.com to cast your vote, sign up for the Den Perks Rewards, and get rewarded for spending money. We all spend money, especially at the airport. But here's the debate, okay? Does pineapple belong on pizza? Well, I have a pizza in front of me, and I have pineapple in front of me. Sure do. And I'm going to put it on my pizza because, yes, I just answered the question. Does pineapple belong on pizza? It sure does. Yes, of course it does. No, I'm sorry. Now we're discriminating pizza as if it couldn't get bad enough, you guys. Everything belongs on pizza. I don't care. I grew up in a household. It's so funny. I grew up in a household where we got the same pizza every time. And I always thought it was so weird. I was like, nobody else does this. And then I went to college and people were like, oh, I love putting that on my pizza. For whatever reason, I felt like it was weird to have black olives on my pizza growing up. We did it every time we ordered pizza. Pepperoni pizza with black olives. We loved it. But then I go to college and everyone's like, oh yeah, I love black olives. And that just proved to me, you know what? In this moment, everything belongs on pizza. Okay? Happy National Pizza Day. Look at this glorious. Are you kidding me? Happy National Pizza Day. That's right. February 9th, National Pizza Day. If you didn't know, now you know. And we are settling the great debate. Does pineapple belong on pizza? The answer is yes. Oh, yeah, Liv, prove it. Okay. I will. I will prove it. I will prove to you that pineapple does in fact belong on pizza because I'm going to stick some on this pizza right here, right now. And I'm going to take a bite and I'm going to show you just how good it can be. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I just showed you how delicious this pizza looks. If you're wondering where it's actually from Modern Market. And if you don't know where Modern Market is located, well, there's a couple locations, you guys. There are. I've actually been to Modern Market many, many times because I grew up dancing at a studio where there was one across the street. But Modern Market has a couple of locations, okay? This pizza is provided by Modern Market. Like I said, I'm going to show you this piece that's got pineapple on it because, yes, pineapple does belong on pizza. Oh, you guys see that? That's pineapple on pizza, folks, okay? This is provided by Modern Market. Shout out Modern Market. They're in the Denver airport. It's true. And they're also in the greater Denver area from Fort Collins to Highlands Ranch. So they're everywhere. You just got to look them up. Modern Market is committed to thoughtfully created, delicious food cooked fresh throughout the day with no microwaves or fryers. I can tell by just looking at this pizza that it is fresh, okay? Made from whole ingredients, whole grains, varied proteins, and healthy fats. Food that nourishes, meets dietary and convenience needs, and is affordable and served sustainably. They help their guests eat every meal like it's a cheat meal without the 2 p.m. crash. I am okay with my cheat meals looking like this. Okay, does pineapple belong on pizza? Let me test it. I mean, yes. I just took a bite. The proof is in the pudding. Pineapple does belong on pizza. And if you disagree, cast your vote. Pizza.denperks.com. Does it belong on pizza? Yes or no? Put your money where your mouth is, right? You don't think it belongs on pizza? Then make sure you vote and let me know that. Because as far as I'm concerned, it does. And no one can change my mind because I'm currently enjoying it. One more bite and then we'll get back to the show. Wow. Wow. Happy National Pizza Day. Shout out to Modern Market for the delicious pizza that I did in fact add pineapple to. Yes, that's right. It does belong on pizza. Okay, let's move on. Last couple of things. Let's get into the NBA here for just a quick second. Oh, before I switch gears all the way to the NBA. Deion Sanders taking a moment to let people know that he would never make the transition to coach in the NFL based solely on how his son was treated in his first year, to me is fair, honest, and needed to be said. I think, Shedeur Sanders falling in the draft, in my opinion, I've always felt this way. That was a message that was trying to be sent. It was. And I'm not saying that he didn't deserve the message to be sent. Now, 5th round, a little extreme, a little unnecessary, actually. But I did understand what was happening. I wasn't naive to what was going on. I was like, yeah, this is their version of a slice of humble pie. I don't agree with it being the 5th round, but I can understand feeling like there needed to be a slice of humble pie. But then to watch Shedeur not get opportunities when he deserved them, then get opportunities and it felt like there was quite literally sabotage involved. It's not okay. These are young men whose careers and lives are on the line. This is Shedeur's career. And you playing chess with it because you're trying to make a point with this young kid. I'm going to call him a kid because comparatively speaking to the coaches that were behaving in such a way, he is a kid to you. And it's weird the way that the NFL moved. And it was weird that there was a lot of people that kind of refused to acknowledge what was really going on. When it came to the draft, I wasn't quick to be like, oh, they were. I did feel like it was intentional what was happening, but I also understood why it was happening. Then it got to the point where it's like, okay, you proved your point. Let's move on. Give this kid a fair shot. And you didn't do that. You never gave him a true fair opportunity. And I don't feel good about that. And if I were Deion, I don't blame him for not wanting to coach in the NFL. Why would you? I see how you feel about the last name Sanders. I'm good. I don't need to be disrespected. It's hard enough watching my son get disrespected. I don't need it from you too. So I don't blame him. And I actually, very much respected his decision. So yeah, I don't know. I can't really be too mad about it because I definitely get it. I definitely get it. So NBA. Couple of things, breaking news things from the Denver Nuggets organization. Nothing insanely crazy outside of the fact that Jamal Murray will be participating in the 3-point contest during the All-Star break, during the All-Star game. Jamal Murray, again, has always been a great 3-point shooter. Always. But what we're seeing now is it's more consistent. More people are seeing it. More people are able to acknowledge and appreciate who Jamal Murray truly is as a shooter. He hasn't really given people that much of an opportunity in years past. He is now, and it's really, really cool to see. So from the three-point line, Jamal Murray has done pretty great things this season, and we're hopefully going to see that in the All-Star game. He is questionable with a little bit of hip inflammation for the game versus the Cavs today. So I can't deal with all of these injuries by the Denver Nuggets. It's stressing me out. It's all too much. Nikola Jokic now the second most triple doubles. Is that what I'm understanding? Let me double check that. So I'm making sure I'm not giving you guys false information here. Second all time in triple doubles, just behind Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook's at 207. Nikola Jokic is at 182. It would not shock me if Nikola Jokic in this season becomes the all-time triple-double man, king, you name it, GOAT. Okay, this is an MVP season for Nikola Jokic. We saw it before he got injured, and we're seeing it after he's injured. Nikola Jokic is one of one, so it's pretty cool to see. Okay, I really think that's it. Guys, I think that's it from me. I really just wanted to kind of do a reaction show talking about the Super Bowl and, how boring it was, but there was still lots to discuss. We'll have another show this week as well to kind of touch on all things basketball because the NFL season is officially over. Sad. Not sure that whole part of my personality is just going to be put on pause for now, but we are still in the thick of the Denver Nuggets season, and the Denver Nuggets have a lot of promise, so there's going to be plenty to discuss. But yeah, happy National Pizza Day. Go get you a pizza from Modern Market. That pizza was delicious. And of course, make sure you cast your vote on whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza. The answer is always yes. Everything belongs on pizza. Okay, I'm Liv Mood signing off for now. And as always, this has been presented by Landmark Lincoln. Landmark Lincoln, who has their Lincoln Certified Sales event happening now at Landmark Lincoln. Discover the confidence of Lincoln Certified pre-owned vehicles, meticulously inspected, thoughtfully refined, and ready for the road ahead. For a limited time, enjoy special APR rates starting at 2.49% for up to 48 months or 4.49% for up to 72 months. Luxury, performance, and peace of mind. Discover your sanctuary only at Landmark Lincoln. Liv Mood signing off for now. We will see you later on this week for another episode of Mood Swings. See ya.